Let me set the scene here. If at any point it seems like I'm long-winded or rambling, just tell yourself or nudge the other person and say, well, bless her heart, her head blew up. Me and Mary were just horsing around backstage when we heard the pre-show music kick in. And this was our cue to go on stage in about 5 minutes. I told myself that it would be over in a couple of hours, and then I could just get a drink and relax. A couple of hours, get a drink, relax. This sounded pretty great at the time, and it still does, but I wasn't really looking forward to the show. I felt like I could never do these things after the show again, which makes no sense and is ridiculous, right? I know the full effects of it, which I refer to the time my head blew up, didn't happen until after intermission. I know this because I started to feel the effects. My head started to hurt, and I almost couldn't stop performing. My voice sounded mechanical, and I was just trying to push myself and a very confused Merritt through every scene. That's when I heard the director start yelling at us, which, of course, isn't unusual, but in front of an audience, it's pretty uncalled for. Then I heard him yell that the show was canceled. That's when I started to take things pretty seriously. People ran toward me, asking for my emergency contacts numbers and who I could call in a situation that I had no control over. I tried to use my left hand to reach for my phone, but it wouldn't work. My left hand would not move no matter what I could do. Time at the hospital as if it all just in flashes. Memories that I put together to make a sort of followable story. From the staff of the ER to the CT scan, I told them I was claustrophobic, to the priest who came to administer my last rites, which still would have been very scary if I wasn't immobile and really thirsty, to watching SpongeBob SquarePants in my bed for hours on end, which is definitely more enjoyable on morphine, might I add. But day in, day out, I was just cold. If anyone comes your way uttering the phrase, blended diet, get the heck out of there. I mean, really, run for your life. Cake and salad blended up through a straw sounds so delicious. This is when I started in my rehabilitation therapy. The therapist asked me to examine 5 things wrong with the photograph, and I told her I couldn't because I was just trying to be funny and lighthearted. She asked why, and I said, because there are 6. She was definitely not amused. Around the hospital, a lot of the staff started referring to me as a high-functioning patient. I got really frustrated at this and just wanted to scream around the hallways of the hospital, "Yay, I have 2 master's degrees and I'm still not deaf!" Soon after, I became an outpatient. And being an outpatient is not as good as it sounds. Everyone has to rely on eyes on you at all times. But luckily, this time, I didn't have to have assisted showers anymore. I only had to have the assistance of a shower chair. And I was free. Free enough to have my own bedroom and bathroom. Free enough to only use the assistance of a rented wheelchair, which I only used a few times, by the way. And the most important part, I was fighting for myself now. I wasn't trying to jump through hoops to make other people happy and to make them feel better about my situation, which I shouldn't have done in the first place, but it made all the difference now. They told me that I was going to go for an outing, and I was really happy because I haven't been out of the hospital in a while, but I was skeptical. Of course, they wouldn't put a whole bunch of brain trauma patients in a bus to go get groceries. Because that's definitely what they did. It seemed pretty cruel at the time, and I mean, still kind of is. You just got our hopes up. But I started doing these small series of tests, and they told me it would depend on if I would ever drive again. They projected a huge grid on a white wall and told me that to say if there was a light in each of the squares and click a button every time I saw one, which sounds pretty easy, right? So I kind of tested the test. I was just trying to guess which light the square would light up in. So they figured this out, which is not good for me because they switched me to another test that was harder. And I had to press a spacebar on a computer every time I saw a huge E pop up in my face. And then I explained to them, I've been driving for many years and I've never seen a huge E lunge into oncoming traffic. They were, again, unamused. I would like to say that I would think of myself as a heroine or someone who succeeded something out of this world during this time, but I really didn't. I lost it. I mean, I really lost it. They asked me to just put these blocks in a certain pattern, and I tried with every follicle in my body to put these blocks in order, cube by cube. I pictured it in my head. I knew how to do it, of course, but my body wouldn't work. That's when I decided to scream and cry over these gosh dang little blocks. That's when the therapist asked me if anyone had ever explained to me what had actually happened. I told her that they hadn't. They told me not to cry. They told me to just push a little bit harder. They told me to take one more test to determine something that would perform the outcome of my whole life. But they never told me what was wrong with me. Then she explained to me that I had a 3-inch brain bleed. I tried to listen and kind of put together what she was saying, but my brain really could not work at that point. I was just trying to understand what had happened. This is when I realized that I had to stop having pity for myself and to learn what was actually wrong with me and how I could get better. And this really took a big change in my mental state. I'm happy to report that I got better after that. I fought, and they told me that I would never be able to take a GED or SAT again, which told them I could live. Who likes to take those anyway? But I was going to have a pretty good and full life. After that, I kept on thinking about the poor people that I left out in the audience from that show. They were my fans, and I let them down. And I really regret that. But, to be honest, that wasn't the most crazy thing that's ever happened to me on stage before. That involved a musical.